I'm going to talk today, hopefully a bit quickly, I don't want to bore anyone, about Agile, about what it means, why it makes sense, and how it should be applied. Let's say it like this, because a lot of the times there's some misconceptions, and they're not really good. So let's start quickly with what I think is one of the foundations of the Agile mindset, which is creating value. What we mean. Is it working? Yeah, okay. I don't want to kill anyone with headsets, I'm sorry. So what we mean by creating value is very simply creating something that is valuable either for us as a team or for the customer, which is also very important. So if we look at some very simple graph like this, where we have the time that we spend developing, creating what we create, and the value that we deliver, traditionally, or let's say, if we don't follow Agile methods, we're going to deliver everything at the end, meaning that we go from 0 to 100% value delivered really fast. That creates one very big problem, because as all developers may know, what happens most of the time when you try to compile, let's say, compile 20,000 lines of code at once. What is going to happen if we hit compile at that moment? Everything fucks up. So when we look at this graph, we have this big red triangle that is, let's say, the risk zone. The less we deploy, the less we produce, the more risky the final delivery is going to be. So Agile, and my clicker is not working. My clicker is not working. Damn. Okay. So Agile, what we try to do is to release step by step. To create value little by little, you can click on the following. You're going to need to click a few times. Yep. Let's see. Yeah, it works. Okay. This way we decrease risk, which is very nice. And again, as developers, you know, if you have 20,000 lines of code to deliver, it's better to deliver them 500 by 500 instead of 20,000 per 20,000. It's the same principle in general. What we create, we want to create little by little in a staircase manner. So from that, Agile is also trying to adapt to change. I'm going to get a little theoretical here, because most PMs will recognize that those are the basic steps of a project. We check what we need to do, we plan what we have to do, we do it, and we check that we did it right. That's how you build a car, build a house. That's how you do pretty much any project. All projects will have those. The big problem, let's say we do a very big project, we build a house. So we know what we need to build, where we need to build it. We have our architect coming in, doing the planning, we buy our materials, and then we hire the consultant crew, they start working. Let's introduce something that happens all the time in every project. Let's introduce a problem. Depending on the size of a problem, and here we have a big, terrible problem, we will need to go back to our requirements. That poses an enormous issue, which is when we do that for a small thing. Let's say I feed my cats. I know what they want to eat. I plan, okay, I'm going to feed them morning and evening. And I start doing that, and suddenly one of them gets super sick. That's my big problem. I go back at the beginning, say, okay, maybe I gave them a wrong type of food. Maybe they're allergic to something. That's not that big of an issue. When we're building a house, that becomes a really big issue. And one of those issues, if my clicker works, okay, is that when that problem happens, we already spend time doing stuff. When that project happens, we already spent budget, money doing stuff, because we already planned, we already checked what we needed. We started doing that, what we needed to do, and then suddenly it doesn't work. So Agile is there to also answer that in, let's say, a less risky fashion. We are going back to our risk zone from the beginning. So from those, we are going back to our graph. Let's take those two principles, reaction to change, go building step by step, and our basic project process. Let's put it in here, so it's very small, I'm sorry, you will see why. So we have our basic project, and at the end of it, we are delivering value. So let's build it as a staircase. So here we have the foundations of why Agile works. First, because if you look at a bit closely, that's pretty much like a sprint. The second idea is that now our big fucking problem is not that big, because we are just going back one step. We're not going back the entire way. So Agile is there for that. Agile is there because nothing will work 100% for sure. We're always going to have issues. We're always going to need to take a step back. So what does it mean for the team? Because that's why we're here. Going back to our basic project steps, now we have them in our repeated manner, in our staircase. Who takes care of those? Usually the requirements, that would be a business analyst, a product owner, someone very serious, so I gave him a title. Our planning is going to be our project manager, our construction manager. So because girls can do it as well, let's say our project manager is a girl. Our implementation, let's go software, our developers, they spend a lot of time on monitors, so they have glasses. And because I'm also a member of the glasses club, I think they're cool. So yeah, they have glasses now. And our testing is going to be done by QC. And because QCs are usually cooler, I gave them sunglasses. So that's our basic team. The way it would work without Agile in one step would be that each time we have a handover, a big meeting where we give a ton of paperwork, and that's what we need to do. That's the result of our work. You do the rest. And each time, and each time, and each time, and each time. We all know nobody likes that, and that creates a problem. So what Agile tries to do instead is to take everyone together and have them as a team. One team. Everyone takes care of everything at one time. So we have no handovers. Everyone talks. That's very important. That reduces meetings, because instead of a 1 hour, 30-minute, 2-hour handover meeting, we have a 30-minute conversation like, hey, that happened. That's it. Easy. So our Agile team, they all have different responsibilities. We have our PO, who's going to take care of the value we need to create, what we need to do. And I like the fact that I put the PM there, because we're going to skip him. Because in Agile, in theory, the what we do and how we do it is taken care of by the developers. I mean, that's normal, that's logic. You guys know what you need to do, how you can do it. That's normal. So normally the development team is taking care of how we are going to implement, how we are going to build what we need to do. And then our cool QC is going to just make sure that we did it in the expected way. What does that mean for the PM? The PM in general has one role. How can I help? He's there to help the rest of the team with the value creation. This is what the PM does with the team. He can do a ton of other things. He can take metrics, he can make sure he can measure, he can help test, he can help create tickets, he can unlock situations, bring additional resources, but all of that, that's helping. This is what the PM does. And what does that mean? How does the PM help everyone? Because, yeah, this is the best question a PM can ask, by the way. How can I help? What can I do? And the answer is very simple. That's the rest of the team using dailies, retrospectives, feedback, conversations to tell the PM what they need. Easy. This is the dream. Honestly, as a former PM, this is my dream. I don't have to do anything. You tell me what I need to do. I don't have to think. That's perfect. I mean, I can be lazy. You do the work. What I mean by that, and that's not the case, by the way, that's a big joke, because that means you should be able to ask your PM to help you for everything. I need a new laptop. I need that. I need that. That's your PM. He or she, because it's a she, is the one who is there to facilitate you, to help you create value. So in general, agility is a mindset. Here is, again, a little bit of theory, because there's a lot of misunderstandings about agility and agile. So agility is only a mindset. At the core, agility is 4 values. In first, and the most important, you hear me talk a lot about communication. This is because that's the first agile value. We try to prioritize people and interaction, so communication, discussion, over processes and tools. That doesn't mean that we don't have processes. We have, and we have a ton. That means that first and foremost, we want to have priority to conversation. So our processes can change if we talk about it and when we talk about it. The same goes for value. We try to prioritize creating value, creating something meaningful that works, that we can show off. That doesn't mean we don't have documentation. That just means that the priority is creating something. We need documentation because maintenance, because a ton of things. But the priority should be creating stuff before writing about how we do it. The third value is collaboration. We don't want to be all the time negotiating with the client, with the customer, with the people we work with. We want to be collaborating with them. We want to be working with them and not against them. So we want to sit together on the same side of the table and work together to create functioning software, to create value. And the last is responding to change, simply because, as I showed, change can be pretty problematic sometimes. So we try to answer it the best way possible. And so this is why we implement and we do incremental stuff little by little, just to prepare for that. And we try to prioritize that over following a plan. Again, that doesn't mean we don't have a plan. We have roadmaps, we have milestones, we have deadlines, we have things that we need to do in a certain amount of time. But when things change, we try to be ready for that, to always have in mind that things can go outside of plan. That's okay. If we're ready for it, if we work for it, if we prepare for that, that's entirely okay. And that's actually welcome. This is how we create nice stuff, because we had something unexpected and we didn't see it coming and we have to adapt, and that's the best solutions. That's the most beautiful stuff. So in general, Agile, we all know Scrum or Kanban. Agile is more than that. Agile is a ton of different things. There's not one, there's so many, because Agile is just a mindset, and all of those are the frameworks we apply to implement the Agile mindset. And trust me, there's so many more. It can depend on the team size, it can depend on, I think Crystal by itself is 5 different frameworks. So there's a ton of things. Agile is just those 4 values and trying to implement them in the best way possible. That's just it. So basically, what I want to say is keep these values in mind, because sometimes we all forget. Me first, we all forget as developers, as people, as PMs, those values sometimes, and we lose sight of them. So, as I said, because the development team is at the center of the Agile team, it is also your role to remind those values, to keep them in mind and to say, hey, here we're not exactly preparing. Why? Why is that? Maybe there's a good reason. Maybe the client went like, okay, I need that super fast, drop everything else. Happens. That's change. But keep in mind this, that at the core, the PM is here to help you create value. He's here to grow you, because that's how you create more value and better value. He's here to unlock things for you. And how you implement, how you create value is up to you as developers. So thank you, everyone. It was very quick, 20 minutes. So I hope we have questions, because if not, that's going to be a quick talk, and I will be parched, and I'm very thirsty now.
Yes, so offline here, if you do have any questions, I'm just going to give the mic to you guys. And everyone on Zoom, if you do have any questions, just feel free to unmute and just raise your voice for any question or concerns.
Cool, I can go home early.
Hello. I just have a question. What do you think about the transparency in Agile?
As I said, Agile is at its core focusing on human and interaction and talking with each other. What does that mean for transparency?
Yeah, because for me, everything Agile will work well when every team member, they have open enough to each other.
Of course, yes. This is why we put everyone together. We want to limit handovers. We want to limit unnecessary conversation, unnecessary meetings, things like this.
Yeah, because sometimes bad thing will happen when the team don't work well to each other. Like they don't open themselves too much, and there will be a bad thing happen by that. Yeah.
We have to be very careful here what we mean by opening themselves. Do we mean sharing about what we do and the issues that we have and the blockers and things like this, and when we need help? Because that's, yes, 100% yes, that's communication, that's saying, hey guys, here I'm blocked, I'm stumped. And someone else will come in, someone from the team will come in, hopefully, to help unlock things. So yes, if that is opening to each other and trusting each other 100% times, yes. Communication is the key.
Thank you.
So I think that your talk is very clear.
Cool.
I think that's it. Hi, hello. I think that's a question from the chat.
Sure. If I know what the question is.
Yes, the question is that what is Crystal? The first time I heard that.
Okay. Crystal is a set of methods of agile frameworks. Basically, you can look it up, and I think it's color coded, and it's by team size. So you have, if memory serves right, but I can be very wrong here, you have yellow for teams under 8 people, and then you have for teams up to 10 or 12 people, and and it's just a framework the same as Scrum, Kanban, etc., etc., etc. It's a way of working in an agile fashion. Is it a good answer? Oh, okay. Which one is your favorite agile framework? Kanban. And, or do I need to explain? I need to explain why I prefer Kanban? Sure, okay, because it's what we make of it. So there's very, very few limitations with what we want to do with Kanban. We can add iterations, we can add Scrum rituals like retrospectives and things like this. So Kanban at its core, it's both simple and very complicated enough that we can add stuff on top of it. So to me, this is one of the most adaptable ways of implementing Agile. Again, I don't have all the correct answers, or I wouldn't be here. I would be holding keynotes for Apple and making thousands of dollars per minute. Why? How to coach team on Agile if they have no clue about it? Do you want me to share the presentation? Basically, little by little. You don't need everyone to understand everything about Agile. Nobody does, to be completely honest. I was just talking about Kanban. Kanban was invented by Toyota. Toyota themselves say they are still discovering stuff and how to make Kanban works. So nobody's perfect, nobody has all the answers. Basically, if they have no clue about Agile, I would talk about creating value, so the staircase model. I would go with as simple as a framework as possible and encourage talking to each other, having really, really, really regular feedback sessions, how to work together, how to do better together. Who would keep the initiative in the team? And what if the team can have a consensus? Oh, that's very interesting. Are we talking about the entire team or with the development team? Because the entire team, there shouldn't need a consensus because everyone has a role. If we're talking about the development team, then communication. It's okay to disagree. We just need to disagree for the right reasons and in an objective, honest manner. Who would keep the initiative? The ones that are in charge of that particular moment. I'm not, as a PM, I'm not going to question the PO when he creates the roadmap or when he creates the ticket. I'm going to maybe challenge him a little bit, say, okay, I'm not sure that ticket is clear enough for the team to work on, or the team is going to challenge saying, we're not going to work on that ticket because we don't understand exactly the requirements. But nobody has the initiative, or I don't exactly get. Everyone has a different role, and the goal is to all work together to create something and to create value. Is it clear? Am I answering correctly or completely wrong? And that was not the question. Yep.
So you're saying that Scrum is a framework
Yep.
or concept which
Yep.
can be adapted and should be adapted.
Yep.
And then sometimes you see that certain companies would say, okay, this is the way we work with Scrum, but we've
Yeah.
adapted it company-wide to work this and that way. And we all work according to this, let's say, maybe a manifest or a way that they defined how they do Scrum. Do you think it makes sense to kind of define how Scrum should look for a whole organization? Or do you think every team should have the liberty to adapt it on a team level?
The second option, even though it's rare, the second option. It kind of defeats the purpose to define a method at the company level, because everyone is different, and a team that's 6 senior backend developers is not going to work the same way as 3 DevOps that are not going to work the same way as 1 designer that are not going to work the same way as a full front-end team. And we are not even talking about tech stack. So it kind of defeats the purpose of Agile to constrain it. Agility at its core, it's flexibility. So the moment you lose flexibility, you lose that agility. Does it answer the question? All right. Do we have more questions on Slido or something? I don't know. I have one question on Slido. I know who posted it. And my answer is because. The question was, but why? So that's the only question on Slido currently, and my answer is because. Because it makes sense in for software development. The method, the really big, what we call waterfall, that everyone fears for no reason because it's a good method. We cannot build a house in Agile. It doesn't work. It will not work, like for real. Don't build a house in Agile. You're going to die. So waterfall works, going straight from start to finish, requirements, planning, building, testing. It works on some projects. This is why architects are so well paid, because they have to plan for absolutely everything from the start. But in software development, we have the luxury of being able to fail. And so we should take the most of it and allow ourselves to fail and to learn from our mistakes. When an architect fails, some people die. When we fail, we have to work 1 or 2 more weeks. So yeah, Agile makes sense because we have the luxury of missing the mark, missing the target. Oh, one more question. Okay.
What do you think, the most common mistake that when a team or organization trying to apply a trial, a framework of a trial like Scrum or Kanban?
Forgetting the values.
Okay.
That's Agile. Again, we can have processes, we can have specific tools, we can have a ton of things that are at the organization level, documentation, a big wiki, everything. All of those are completely possible to do in Agile. The one thing that Agile says is those tools should not be put forward or prioritized instead of communication, creating value, creating stuff that works, creating, collaborating instead of negotiating all the time, working together. So that's the thing. Agile has tons of processes, and companies need processes, but can we talk about them? That's the question.
Thank you.